Johnny Murray here, and welcome back to a brand new review. Today, we are going to be talking about Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Wow. I mean, this game, look, this review, you're not going to see my score until the end, but just know this is an incredible video game. This is everything I hoped and dreamed this game would be, and not even, I think it exceeded what I thought this game was going to be. We're going to talk about it, but there are so many things to talk about. I can't wait for a podcast with either Jordan or Austin, depending how things line up. I have so many things I want to say that I cannot fit into one review. I want to get a deep dive into some of the story, but this is going to be a spoiler-free review, so you guys can do it. The podcast will probably not be spoiler-free, depending on how far the other person is, but I have beaten the game, I've rolled credits, and we're going to talk about it. But if you guys love video games, doesn't matter what you love, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, third-party, PC, VR, indie, whatever it may be, consider subscribing, share with your friends. We cover video games daily on this channel, and we talk about it because we love it, and there are so many things I love about video games right now, especially with this game. And so if you guys love that, subscribe, share with your friends. Really appreciate all the support, especially the support in this video right here. But with that being said, let's go ahead. Let's jump into this review. So we're actually going to be doing this review backwards. I want to get my my critiques, my gripes for the game out the way, because truth be said, there is tons of great things to say about this game. There are very few things about this game that I do not like, and so we're gonna go ahead and start with that. I'll just give you my overall thoughts right now. This game is incredible. What it's doing with story, what it did with gameplay, what it did with music, what it did with visuals, like the length of the game, the price of the game, everything about this game is just amazing. What they were able to do. I honestly can't believe it's like, this game always showed promise. Every trailer leading up to it, every time we saw it, we were always like, man, this game, like, is this game real? Like, is it actually going to be as good as it looks? Because it looks incredible. There's so much potential. Like, it looks super duper promising. Like, I really feel like this game can be a hit if they just execute on everything. If that story hits, if that gameplay hits, this really could be a special game. And it's a very, very special game. This is such a journey that will be unforgettable. This is something I recommend everybody play. This will go down as one of the best games of the year. This will go down as one of the best games ever. Just put it simply. This is a turn-based RPG to the absolute finest. And for honestly, I think this is probably one of, if not the best turn-based RPG I've ever played. Is it my favorite? I don't know yet. I still have to try and digest that. I still have to try and digest. There is still recency bias. I'm still hot off the grill from playing the game. So give it a little bit. Let my opinions sizzle, and I see like where it ranks up. But I'm very confident in the score that I have given it. And so I do have some gripes with the game. And so the first one, or not really the first one, just the first set of these, I think, this game does a lot of things right. This game does a lot of things great, and this game shocks a lot of people. Number one, we're talking about a development studio that is very small. 30 people made this game. This is their debut game. They are Ubisoft developers. They're other company developers. But this is this studio's first game, Sandfall Interactive, which, by the way, whatever game they make next, you best believe we're day one, and that is S-tier excitement. 100%. But Sandfall Interactive, man, this is their debut game, and we kind of had some worry about that, because, with any studio's game, what is their debut game? Is it going to lack in certain departments? And this game really didn't. Outside of one area, and I do think this is something that, while it's not the biggest problem, it does hinder your experience, depending on how well you can, choose to ignore it, whether it's just you just love everything else so much that you can just completely ignore it, which there are people out there who will do that. I do that for certain games, but these are things that it can be annoying, and it could definitely hinder the experience for some people. I have talked and I've heard from so many other people, content creators, that these things did kind of hinder the experience, and it's things that kind of weird choices in terms of game design. Number one being there is no sort of navigation in the game outside of when you're in the overworld. When you're in the overworld going from area to area, there is a map. But when you are playing the game, there is no sort of quest markers, there is no map, there is no navigation telling you to go that way, and it is kind of an explorable game. Like, you can go in multiple different directions, do a whole bunch of things, and I've heard from a lot of people and a lot of other reviews that they've honestly gotten lost at times because they just can't figure out what door goes where or what path they went to, and there is just no map, no navigation to figure out where you are going in the game. I personally never got lost, but there were multiple moments I'm like, man, I wish I had a map, like just a map where I could click a button and it'll just tell me, hey, go in that direction, because you kind of do just feel like you're just running around at times, which is another gripe I have in terms of the gameplay, but we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, one just thing that kind of just was like, man, like, what was the choice here? Like, what was their mindset when thinking, let's not put a map in the game, let's not put any sort of navigation in the game? It's kind of just an odd choice. It doesn't really ruin the game at all, but it is kind of an odd choice. Like, what was the thought process behind that decision? Also, another one that I think is just, it's not a huge effect, but it kind of is just like, why is this not in the game? And this one for me is one that kind of annoyed me at times, and there is no ability to restart or try again a fight. You cannot restart. Like, if you go into a boss battle and you mess up that very first parry and you're already off to a rough start, you can't just restart. You have to either die, you have to reload your previous save, you have to do everything except just click restart battle. And I think that is really, honestly, pretty bad for a turn-based RPG. That is like a staple. Like, you need that. That is 101 of a turn-based game. You need to be able to restart battle, and you just can't do that. And certain times you'll just be stuck in there and like, oh, bro, I need to just go back and restart, and it's kind of a hassle to do it. So that one for me is kind of weird. It really just ruined the momentum and ruined the vibe at times, because I'm like, man, I've missed up that first parry. Now I have to go all the way back. But again, it didn't really ruin the game. For me, it did hurt it a little bit. And then lip syncing. The lip syncing for English was rough at times. That happens in a lot of games, so I don't really critique for that, but I am saying that, so hopefully that they can fix that in a future patch or something. And then for me, where the gameplay falls flat is when you are running around. There is so many times where it just feels like you're running. It just feels like you're running. You're just climbing up some walls, clicking X to do a little grapple, and sometimes you're just doing that for a long time until you run into an enemy. The exploration is fine. You can go around, find those things, get new pictos, find new weapons, stuff like that. But it never felt like super innovative when it came to the exploration. But then the only other thing I really didn't like about the game, there were pieces of the story that didn't really hit in terms of the writing compared to everything else in the game. The writing is phenomenal, but there was one moment, the whole chapter with the guest roles, where you're in their village, it kind of, the whole story really dumbed down a little bit. They tried doing a lot of humor, and for me, the tone of it was kind of just weird. Like, you went from your whole expedition pretty much being murdered and completely destroyed to you almost wanting to Gustav, like, having thoughts, and then they just went straight into like humor, like cracking jokes, running into these really stupid characters. The tone switch kind of didn't work for me in a way. I ended up growing into the humor. Like, the humor definitely grew on me towards the second act and the final act, especially with a character called Minoko. He is hilarious. But in the moment, I was like, man, like, the tone of this feels so weird. And then towards the end, there is a little bit of convoluted story. I was able to follow and do it really well, but I do think towards the end, they do start shoving in a ton of information, and they start doing a ton of plot twists and different decisions and story beats, and it's just kind of like, wait, wait, so what does that mean? Wait, okay, wait, pause. So what does this mean? What does that mean? Like, where, oh, okay, wait, I think I get it. Wait, oh, like, there is a lot of moments, because there is just so many things happening. It does kind of get convoluted, but once you finally understand everything, it's all good. But anyway, that's it for bad. Let's talk about everything that is phenomenal about this game. And, I mean, the easy way to put it is, outside of the things I just said, everything is phenomenal. Everything is phenomenal. And that is what is so great about this game. Is, you know, there are a lot of games where it's like, okay, there's these bad things, and then everything else is just good, but then there is this one aspect that really shines above, right? This game is not that game. There are a couple things that I don't like. There are some flaws within this game, and there are some things that I personally didn't love about it. But everything else about this game is A to S tier. Whether we're talking gameplay, story, music, visuals, those 4 things, in my opinion, are S tier. Those are 4 S tier aspects about this game. Those are 4 aspects I think are going to be in the best of the year conversation. I think the visuals will be in that best visuals of the year conversation. I think gameplay will be in that best gameplay of the year conversation. You get the picture, story, music, all of that, I think will be some of the best of the year. Because it is insane what they were able to do. Number 1, the visuals, bro, gorgeous. This game is stunning. Whether it is the colors, all the different environments you go to multiple different environments. Whether you go to the atmosphere, the detail, to the character animations, the character model, the character renders, all that stuff, to even just in gameplay, all the effects and all your attacks and the style of this game, the style and vibe. You know, you can tell it takes heavy French inspiration, but then also I just love how they follow the whole concept of the game. Paint, right? The idea of paint is throughout this game a lot. Whether, you know, just in your combat, in the turn-based combat, all your menus are like little paint strokes. I don't know if you notice that, but that is that. And, you know, the main antagonist of this game is the paintress. So it's just really cool that they really kind of stayed on theme for a lot of that. But the visuals are just amazing. The enemy designs are great. Character designs are great. I just love the world that they've built here. It is incredible. The music, holy crap. The music in this game is nothing short of, like, masterful. Like, it's some of the best music ever. I mean, genuinely. There are just so many moments where that music just starts playing and you're like, oh, wow, that is some good stuff right there. that is some great stuff right there. It really did hit on every expectation I had for music, and it exceeded 100%. But for me, the top 2 things about this game are the story and gameplay. Story, we're going to talk a little bit more about. But for me, let me go ahead and talk about what I personally think is the best part of this game, and that is the gameplay. You know, I think it's going to come up to whoever for what their favorite part of the game is. I think you can make the argument for any aspect, and I would 100% agree with you, and I wouldn't argue with you. I think if you want to say visuals, absolutely fair. If you want to say music, fair. If you want to say story, absolutely fair. But gameplay, for me, and I've also heard this in a lot of other reviews, and I've heard this from a lot of other people. Not only is this one of the best turn-based games, not only is this probably going to be one of the best gameplays of the year, I'm going to just go ahead and say I think this is one of the best combat systems of all time, period. The amount of systems that are in this game, the way they all mesh together, the amount of different gameplay elements that they shove in to just one fight is beyond belief. Everything in this game feels like it flows so well into each other. Whether it is being able to jump mid-attack, being able to counter, being able to parry, being able to select skills, items, attack, being able to aim, all the reactiveness, being able to aim manually, parry manually, all that stuff, to the equipment side of it. your weapons, your leveling up, your skill trees, your Pictos, your Luminas, everything. There are so many things in this game, and what's so beautiful about it is it feels super balanced, it feels super precise, it feels super specific, and it never felt convoluted to me. I never felt, I just don't understand what these things do. Like, there's so many things going on here. I never felt that way about the gameplay. And that was one worry I had. They showed menus on this game in some of the trailers where it was just numbers and tons of different options. You're like, oh Lord, what am I looking at? Like, this looks crazy. And I just never felt that actually playing the game. Everything felt super condensed, super precise, and it was the most satisfying parry system I've ever played. And I've beaten Sekiro, okay? It was the most satisfying parry system I've ever played. The animations and the coolness of so many of the attacks and skills is amazing. The diversity and variety of all the characters is on another level. Every character I think is great in terms of gameplay. I have a whole characters ranking coming out very soon. Make sure you check that out when it drops. The gameplay is phenomenal. Top 5 gameplay I've ever played, period. And I think that just go to show you how great this game is. Turn-based, number 1 as a genre, is fire. Anyone who says otherwise, you're wrong. Sorry. You may not like turn-based, and that's fair. But if you think turn-based is bad, or it's like, or it's just worse than other kind of combat system, you are just wrong. I'm sorry. Turn-based cooks on so many different levels. The gameplay really is phenomenal. I think the only downside to gameplay is sometimes it feels like they're trying to be like an action adventure game when you're outside of combat, and I think at that time it could just be like kind of, you're just like running around climbing things at a time. But again, that's such a minor critique for something that is so spectacular. This game really just knocked out the park with gameplay, or combat specifically. But the story, man. Where do we start with the story? Well, let's start with how the game starts. The opening. One of the best openings I've ever seen. It made me cry. Very few openings have done that. The only other opening I can think of that made me cry is God of War Ragnarok. That might be it, honestly. This game has a phenomenal opening, man. It is spectacular. The only thing wrong with the opening is, which my friend Austin said that, is that there is no like big fight or big like epic moment in the opening. But I personally find that okay, because I think the emotional level and the story they were telling in that opening is really all they needed there. And so that's how it starts. And the story really just gets bigger and better as the game goes on. I do think in the end of the, in that third act, like I said, I do think it gets a little bit convoluted, and I do think there is that chapter in Act 1 where the humor and the tone just kind of didn't sit right with me. But where this game really thrives in terms of stories is its characters. And I mean, that's just the JRPG nature of this game. Characters are the heart and soul of JRPGs, and they're the heart and soul of this game. So many characters I fell in love with, I really related to on a personal level, and I just love so many things that this story told with these characters and the world that they were living in. The concept absolutely lived up to the hype. That was one of the things we talked about multiple times, that the concept is so cool. If they can execute on it, this story is going to be amazing. Newsflash, they did. It's amazing. I do think there are things that certain character arcs that didn't hit as well as others, and I do think that there are certain moments that kind of don't reach that epic hypeness as certain things, right? But I think there was never one time in this game and in the story and the pacing of this game where I felt like what we were doing was unnecessary. And that's something I hate with certain games, especially if they're like 50 plus hours. You're doing so many things. It's like, why are we doing this? Like, did I really have to do this? Is this just filler? Is this bloat? Is this just to extend the runtime? Whereas in this game, I never felt that was the case. I always felt like what I'm doing it means something. It is purposeful. It is to the actual main story. Like, this game was paced phenomenally. And this is one thing that this is like one of my biggest praises about the game and why the opening was as good as it is. the pacing of this game. There was not one moment it felt rushed. There was not one moment it felt like they didn't give it enough time to breathe or space out. That opening, they really just have you sit in that moment. I'm trying to not spoil it. There's so many things I want to say. They let you sit in that opening, and you just hear the music. You just see the visuals. You just see the characters' expressions. That's all they're doing. And they're just letting you sit in that moment, and that's what makes it so impactful. That's what makes it so brilliant. You know, when we're talking about characters, their relationships with each other, the performances of these characters, Charlie Cox, Ben Starr, Jennifer English, I think is her name. Phenomenal stuff, man. They knocked it out the park. There is so many great things about this game's story. Is it 100% a perfect story? No. Is there things I didn't love? Yes, but for the most part, you are getting one of the best stories of the year, of the generation, without a doubt. Whether it is convoluted at times, whether the humor isn't necessarily hitting. Monaco, by the way, character in the game, funniest dude I've seen in a video game in a long time. He is so hilarious. Oh my gosh, dude! Oh, what a go. Yeah, absolutely loved this game. This game really, throughout my whole time playing it, I was just like, man, I can't believe they did it. They pulled it off. Ever since this game was announced last year, we said, man, what an interesting concept. What an interesting premise. How promising does this look, man? This game has so much potential. I want this game to be good so bad. And it absolutely delivered. It exceeded anything I think anyone expected, to be honest with you. I think another thing that I would like to touch on in terms of gameplay is this game is not really what I expected in terms of gameplay when it comes to a systematic level. Yes, it's turn-based. It kind of follows that Atlas kind of combat system, that Yakuza Like a Dragon system a little bit. And yes, you are running around. There is that overworld. But I think the way this game structurally works is not what I expected. This is truly a Souls game in disguise as a turn-based game. I mean, even the death screen is almost ripped out straight out of a Souls game. This game gets difficult at times. It gets really hard. This game does feel like you do have to grind at times. This game does have those moments where you finally reach that boss. And a lot of the combat is just memorizing the enemy's patterns. That is a lot of this game's combat. I spent a long time on some of those final bosses in Act 3 because there's just so many movesets. This truly is a Souls game in disguise as a turn-based game, and I think that's why it's so great. And I think that's why its combat is so great. If you look at a lot of Souls games, Sekiro, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, some of those combat systems are known to be some of the greatest combat systems ever. And I think that's why this game is like that, because to me, this screamed more of a Souls game as a turn-based RPG than it did anything else. And I absolutely loved it. I think it worked completely well. If you would have told me that as a pitch, I don't know how I would have felt. But actually playing it 100% worked for me. This game is amazing. This game is phenomenal. This game is special. This game is a must-play. This game is on Game Pass. It is only $50. This game really is one of the best games you'll play all year. Like I said, there are things, whether it is very simple game design, like not having a map, no navigation, not being able to restart boss battles, not being able to just restart any fights, the story being convoluted at times. There is a little bit of humor that the tone didn't really sit right with me. There are very minor critiques I have. There are minor inconveniences. But that does not detract from how amazing this game is. Ultimately, when I do these reviews, I look at a multitude of things. I look at how much I enjoyed it, all of the quality aspects. What does this game mean? What does this game do? Did it move it? And for me, when doing this review, yes, I have critiques, and there are things that I would change. But ultimately, I'm not a critic. I'm a fan. I'm somebody who plays games to enjoy it. And the score I'm going to give it is a depiction of my enjoyment and my experience. And ultimately, this will go down as one of the best games I've ever played. And therefore, this is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece on the S tier. I've thought about this a lot. I originally was thinking 9.5. And I think you could even make the argument for 9. I think it's a very hard argument to make, but you could do it. But I think for me, when I look at scores, when I look at reviews, and this is something we're going to talk about on the podcast this week, and that is what makes a 10 out of 10 game for you. And if it's not 10 out of 10, why? And what would make a 10 out of 10 game? And I think for me, number one, a 10 out of 10 game does not mean it needs to be flawless. Almost every game you can nitpick, you can find gripes, you can find quote-unquote flaws. But then there are games that have no flaws that you may not give a 10 out of 10, right? Just because a game is flawless does not mean it's a 10 out of 10, and just because a game has flaws does not mean it's not a 10 out of 10. A score should be your feeling, your enjoyment, how you feel about a game. And to me, this is almost as best as it comes. When it comes to every aspect of a game, you're getting the best of the best. And that is what a 10 out of 10 is for me. It doesn't mean everything has to 100% be perfect. And this game, I think, captures that. I don't see how you can massively improve this game. And so for me, this is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece on the S tier. And I say this, Expedition 33 is one of the best turn-based RPGs I've ever played. It has elite combat, visuals, music, and writing. This world and its characters are so brilliantly brought to life, you can't help but fall in love with the story. Mix that with one of the most satisfying combat systems I've ever played, you get one of the best experiences of the year that will go down as an all-time great, even with its minor inconveniences. This game is insane. This game is awesome. I'm so happy they pulled it off. I mean, really, when I'm doing this review, I kept going back and forth. Is it a 9.5? Is it a 10 out of 10? And anytime I thought it was going to be a 9.5, it just didn't feel right to me. Because this is a peak experience. And this game moved me. And that is what a 10 out of 10 is for me. So thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And I appreciate all support. And I see you in the next one. Johnny Moore out. Peace.